I'd just like to say what a privilege it is to be able to continue serving our nation. I'm grateful to you for that opportunity, and I look forward to joining the national security team and doing everything I can to advance and protect the interests of the American people. Thank you very much, sir.
You're going to do a great job. We actually have a good, really top-notch national security team, top to bottom. Everybody was always saying, oh, if not for Flynn. Sometimes it takes a circuitous route.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump, when it comes to foreign policy, his first idea for SecDef was an awful idea. We ended up with Mattis. His first idea, just his gut instinct for Secretary of State, awful. His gut instinct for Department of Homeland Security, awful. But he didn't go with that. Mm-hmm. He waited, he sifted through everything, and we actually, again, we end up, of course, we had to get rid of Flynn first, but it is pretty remarkable.
These are people who've received wide acclaim across the spectrum. And trying to figure out the president, ask people who think the president is good for nothing, horrible, bad judgment. These picks represent extraordinarily good consensus, bipartisan judgment.
General McMaster is the real deal. He is a warrior intellectual. He is someone who has made his name through his career speaking truth to power. This is a man who almost didn't get promoted to brigadier general. He was passed over twice because he was his own person. He spoke out. He wouldn't play the promotion games. I first met General McMaster in Iraq when he was really, as much as anybody, the shaper of the idea that we could push back, contain the violence. He was up in a place called Tal Afar, a city really suffering under the burden of war, and he figured, I got to get my soldiers out of the center, out of the bases that they were in, and into the community, reduce the levels of violence. That became Dave Petraeus's big idea in the surge. H.R. McMaster was a key person for Petraeus in helping him think through the ideas. I then saw him in Afghanistan, where he had the insight that the problem in Afghanistan was it was a corrupt, broken society. Unless you fix the corruption, you couldn't fix the place. It's a terrific choice. When John McCain, your biggest critic, says you made an outstanding choice, President Trump, that's a good sign that this is an important. He has too little experience in national security policy, but he's a smart man and he'll learn.
So his book, as you mentioned, Mike, it's called Dereliction of Duty, and it looked at the Joint Chiefs of Staff during the war in Vietnam and how they fed information to politicians. That book has shot up to #1 on Amazon. The New York Times reports that he also criticized the way President George W. Bush's administration went to war in Iraq. Quote, as a commander, he was credited with demonstrating how a counterinsurgency strategy could defeat militants in Iraq, demonstrating the promise of an approach that General David Petraeus adopted to shift momentum in a war the United States was on the verge of losing. Before that, he earned a Silver Star as a tank commander in the Persian Gulf when his outnumbered armored company destroyed an Iraqi formation. Senator Tom Cotton was reportedly central to Trump picking McMaster. The senator once served under the general and suggested him to the White House. Politico reports that McMaster wasn't on the radar until the senator reached out to Steve Bannon, Jared Kushner, and Reince Priebus.
The Weekly Standard's Bill Kristol wrote, I say this honestly and non-snarkily. I can't imagine anyone better prepared for the challenges of being Trump's NSA than H.R. McMaster. Former U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul.
Again, all harsh critics of Donald Trump for a long time.
McFaul said, H.R. is a giant upgrade. I've never felt better about Trump administration regarding national security.
And he has been on TV being critical of Donald Trump, along with Bill Kristol.
You know, David used the term warrior intellect. The warrior part, obviously, he has. Served in the Gulf War, served in Iraq and Afghanistan. The intellect part is he's thought deeply about all the wars the United States has been in. The entire book, Dereliction of Duty, is about Vietnam. He was critical of the Iraq War. He thought about the counterinsurgency strategy. He's willing to come out and say publicly what the military is doing wrong, not just to defend what it did.
Right, and we also had a man who served in the Clinton administration, seen as a progressive on foreign policy issues, a foreign policy analyst. Strobe Talbot said McMaster has a stellar reputation with Tillerson, Mattis, and superb intel community. With POTUS's support, he can help get back on track. And you're talking about John McCain?
And Senator John McCain, he wrote, McMaster is outstanding choice, man of genuine intellect, character, and ability. George W. Bush advisor Fran Towson, a great patriot and a soldier. Republican Trump critic Elliot Cohen calls McMaster an inspiring leader, solid historian, honorable soldier, and thoughtful strategist. And how about Democratic Congressman Jim Himes, who sits on the Intel Committee? He wrote, brilliant strategic mind, not afraid to speak truth to anyone.
All
so coming
clear
from both
thinkers.
sides of the aisle, critics and supporters of Donald Trump.
This has shown me again that Donald Trump wants to be a successful president.